kindness and willingness to help others. James's growth wasn't just academic. He had become a mentor, a friend, and a leader to those around him. As he continued to excel, his confidence grew. He knew that the path he had chosen, to work hard, help others, and always keep pushing forward, was the right one. He wasn't just learning for himself anymore. He was building a community of students. By the time he graduated from primary school, James had not only become the best student, he had become the heart of his school, the one everyone turned to for support, encouragement, and inspiration. His journey showed that greatness didn't come from wealth or privilege. It came from hard work, the willingness to learn, and the desire to help others rise alongside you. As James entered secondary school, the challenges only grew, but so did his determination. The books were more advanced, the subjects more complex, and the competition fiercer. Yet, despite the obstacles, James approached each day with the same hunger for knowledge that had fueled him since primary school. By now, he had earned the respect of his teachers and classmates, but he knew that his journey was far from over. He wasn't just competing for grades, he was competing for opportunities. He knew that education was his way out of poverty and his chance to create a better life, not just for himself, but for others too. But secondary school wasn't easy. Many of the students in his class had the resources James had never had: private tutors, new textbooks, and even after-school enrichment programs. Sometimes James would sit quietly, watching others breeze through assignments with the advantage of their privileges. But he never let that discourage him. Instead, he would work harder. He spent long nights studying in the quiet corners of the library, his desk often piled high with old textbooks and notes. One evening, as he was poring over his math problems, his teacher, Mr. Thompson, approached him. "James," he said, "I've been watching you work. You don't have the newest books or the best supplies, but you have something far more valuable: persistence. Keep pushing and never stop believing in yourself." Those words stayed with James. It wasn't about having the best resources, it was about the will to keep going, even when things were difficult. And that was a lesson he carried with him every day. Despite the long hours of study, James still made time to help his peers. He had become a mentor to many of the younger students who struggled just as he had. He'd organize study groups, patiently explaining difficult concepts and offering advice on how to tackle assignments. James had grown into a leader in his school, not just because of his grades, but because he shared his knowledge and encouraged others to believe in themselves, just as he had learned to do. Then, in his final year, the school held a science competition, one that James knew would be highly competitive. Students from all grades would present their projects, hoping to win scholarships and recognition. With no lab equipment or fancy materials at his disposal, but he didn't let that stop him. Instead, he focused on what he had: his curiosity, his creativity, and his determination. He spent weeks working on a project about renewable energy, using simple materials he found around the school and the local community. While the other students had fancy gadgets, James's project was built from the ground up, proving that with resourcefulness and hard work, anything was possible. When the day of the competition came, James was nervous. But when he presented his project, explaining how the energy could be harnessed using minimal resources, the judges were impressed. To everyone's surprise, James won first place. He had proven that success didn't come from the materials you had. It came from the passion and effort you poured into your work. Winning the competition changed everything for James. It gave him the confidence to pursue even bigger dreams. He earned a scholarship to attend one of the best universities in the country, something he had only dreamed of just a few years earlier. His victory in that science competition wasn't just about the prize, it was a testament to everything he had worked for, a reminder that even in the face of scarcity, determination, and hard work could lead to extraordinary success. By the time James finished secondary school, he wasn't just the best student in his class. He was a symbol of what could be achieved through resilience, perseverance, and a commitment to helping others. His story was one of rising above challenges, of making the most out of what you have, and of always believing that with hard work, anything is possible. James knew that this was just the beginning. His journey was far from over, but he was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. After all, he had already proved to himself that he could overcome anything. As James moved forward into the next phase of his life, he carried the lessons learned through every challenge and triumph. From his humble beginnings in the orphanage to becoming the best student, he proved that success wasn't determined by resources, but by determination, resilience, and making the most of what you had. James's journey wasn't just about personal success, it was about lifting others. His story inspired many, showing that with hard work and perseverance, even tough obstacles could be overcome. He had gone from a boy with nothing to a young man with the power to change lives. As he stepped into the future, he knew his purpose was bigger than his own dreams. It was about giving others the tools and hope to achieve theirs. James's journey reminded us to never give up. The greatest wealth isn't measured by money or possessions, but by the lives you touch and the difference. Part 1. The Unexpected Journey. At just 16, Megan's life took an unexpected turn. One afternoon, she learned that she was pregnant. The news shocked her and her boyfriend, John. They were both teenagers, still figuring out who they were, and now they were going to be parents. Their families were worried, and so were they. It felt like their whole world had changed in an instant. But Megan didn't let fear hold her back. She knew things would be difficult, but she wasn't going to give up on her dreams. She realized that this was her new reality, and now she had to figure out how to make it work. Megan was determined to be the best mother she could be, while still holding on to her own future. Megan's decision wasn't easy. She had always been a good student, with big dreams of becoming something more than just a high school graduate. But now, with a baby on the way, she had to rethink everything. She couldn't go down the usual path many of her peers were taking. She had to be strong, not just for herself, but for her baby, too. John, although young, stepped up. He promised Megan that they would figure this out together. They knew it would be hard, but they believed in each other. Together, they made the choice to stay focused, support each other, and build the future they wanted, no matter how hard it would be. Part 2. Facing the Challenges. The first few years after Megan's pregnancy were nothing like she had imagined. She was now a young mom, balancing the challenges of raising a baby with trying to finish her education. It was exhausting, and there were days when Megan didn't know how she was going to get through it all. John helped as much as he could, but being so young, he was still figuring out his own way in the world. They didn't have much money. Megan had to be resourceful, using every moment she had to study, while also caring for her child. Sometimes she'd stay up late studying, making sure she finished her assignments while John looked after their baby. There were times when Megan doubted herself. She'd look at her classmates who seemed to have everything: new clothes, free time, and no worries about balancing school and parenthood. But Megan refused to let comparison drag her down. She wasn't just working for herself, she was working for her son and for the future she dreamed of. Every little victory felt like a huge accomplishment. When she passed a tough exam, it felt like proof that she could make it. And when her son smiled, she knew all the hard work was worth it. Megan's determination to keep going, even when things got hard, became stronger with every day. Part 3. The Turning Point. By the time Megan turned 18, she had achieved something incredible. She graduated from high school. It wasn't easy, but Megan had done it. She had fought through the sleepless nights, the stress, and the doubts. Graduation day felt like a huge milestone, not just for Megan, but for her family and John, too. They had supported her every step of the way, and now she was ready to take the next step toward her dreams. But Megan knew this was just the beginning. She had always dreamed of going to college, but now she faced an even greater challenge. College was expensive, and Megan didn't have the same advantages as many other students. She didn't have the luxury of time to just focus on her studies. She still had to work part-time to help support her family. John, however, was there for her. He encouraged her to apply to college and reminded her that if anyone could handle the pressure, it was her. Megan applied to a local university, determined to continue her education and set a good example for her son. She worked extra hours, found scholarships, and did whatever it took to make her dream a reality. College wasn't easy, but Megan was used to hard work. She took every opportunity to learn, ask questions, and grow. She started to see how everything she had gone through, the challenges, the sacrifices, had prepared her for this moment. She wasn't just doing it for herself anymore. She was doing it for her son and for every young person who thought their dreams were impossible because of the obstacles they faced. Part 4. The Climb to Success. When Megan was 26, she reached a milestone she never could have imagined as a young mother. She had earned her degree and was now a professor at a local university. Her story was no longer just about overcoming challenges, it was about achieving something extraordinary. Megan had gone from a 16-year-old girl facing an unplanned pregnancy to a